All right, hi everybody. My name is Abby Lee. I'm the creator of SPLOOT News, a monthly hedgehog newsletter. And I wanted to make a sort of simple video about things I wish I had known when I first got my hedgehog. I'm going to show you my hedgehog. This is Noodle. You guys have probably seen her in some videos before. She is awake. It is nighttime. It's like, I don't know, 9:30 or 10 at night right now. And I pulled her off her wheel so that we can make this video together. And I'm just gonna dive right in. So the first thing I wish I had known about hedgehogs when I first got them is how resilient they are. You know, a lot of people talk about exotic pets as being, you know, they do have different needs. Their needs are different from cats, dogs, quote unquote normal pets. And I always thought of them as somewhat fragile. I think a lot of people think of them as fragile, and it can be true. A lot of exotic pets are smaller. Hedgehogs are smaller than some typical pets. They're smaller than cats and dogs, so when they get sick, things can go badly very quickly. But I don't think that I gave them enough credit. So Noodle is trying to like bury in my shirt. For those of you who know, when I first got Noodle, she got very ill. She got really sick, and now she's digging around in the blanket. So when I first got her, she immediately got very sick, and some of you may remember me talking about this, but I had senior pets, specifically senior dogs, before I got Noodle. And so unfortunately, you know, the sad thing about rescuing senior animals is that you lose them. I have a 14-year-old cat. He's laying right next to me. It's just part of it, unfortunately. So when Noodle got sick, I immediately went to a really bad place. I was pretty upset. I was pretty, I told myself those back legs, she loves to, she's wiggly. She's very independent. I told myself that I was being honest about her prognosis, but the truth is that I was just really scared and I thought I was gonna lose her. But she fought really hard. And even though the vet said that she had, you know, a 1 in 10 chance of recovery, clearly she recovered. As I like to say, she said, "Spike you" to the vet. So that's something that I wish I had known, because I wish I had trusted her a little bit more, and I wish that I had been in a better frame of mind. Had I given her credit for being as resilient as she is, that might have been different. So that's something I wish that I had known. Something else I wish I had known is more about preventative care. So even in the last few weeks, I have started shifting the way that I feed Noodle. So most hedgehogs, if you're a hedgehog owner or a new hedgehog owner, or will be soon, you probably know or are planning to get kibble for your hedgehog. Most hedgehogs eat some cat food kibble. Different people feed various brands. Right now I'm feeding Love Some because it fits the nutritional qualities that I look for in food, and it's also relatively affordable. It's $5 a bag. It's sold only at Kroger's. If you don't have a Kroger, I don't know if you can, I think it's just a Kroger brand, but anyway. But it's a hard kibble. Most people feed hard kibbles, and over time it can wear and tear on your hedgehog's teeth. It can cause dental problems. That's something I knew a little bit about and am still learning about. So I'm kind of in this phase of educating myself about dental issues in hedgehogs and how to prevent them. So in the past few weeks, I have been softening Noodle's kibble. She's biting the blanket. In the past few weeks, I've been putting a little water, just a few drops on top of her kibble to soften it up and make it easier for her to eat so that she doesn't have to crunch it so hard. In the past, watching her eat, it's very much like she has to get her mouth kind of wide, you know, and crunch really hard. And I don't want to cause dental problems for her. So softening up your kibble a little bit, or even some people put it in a blender, and you know, particularly if you have a hog who is missing teeth or has special needs, softening or crushing your kibble is a good way to help them eat if eating is a problem for them. So that's something that I am still educating myself about. I'm not an expert in dental problems on hedgehogs, but that's something I wish I'd known a little bit more about when I got her, because I could have been doing that longer, or I could be more educated at this point about preventing like periodontal problems in hedgehogs. So that's definitely something I wish I had known more about. Other things I wish I had known about hedgehogs. I wish I had known about their different little personalities. Hedgehogs are individuals, just like people. And I think it can be really helpful to remember that, you know, when Noodle refused bugs when I first got her, she was a rescue, so she hadn't really been fed properly. She certainly wasn't getting a proper diet, and her kibble was Meow Mix, so not great nutritional quality. I wish that I had known that it was normal for her to not want bugs at first. I wish I had known it was normal for her to react to certain behaviors, to not want to cuddle, or I also wish I had known that other hedgehogs are more cuddly. I wish I had known that, you know, every little hedgehog has their own personality, and particularly when it comes to feeding, some of them are going to like certain things and some of them are not. So that's something I wish I had known a little bit more about. Another thing I wish I had known more about is insects or bugs. If only because they're really gross and I do not like them. I've forced myself to get used to bugs because it's for the best. It's, you know, hedgehogs naturally are, I guess what you would say, opportunistic omnivores in the wild, meaning they will eat anything that they can get, sort of like raccoons. That's sort of a simplified description, but they're not purely insectivores. However, they do need lots of bugs in their diet, even if it's only a portion. So I wish that I had been more mentally prepared for like touching nasty bugs. Like I said, I made myself get used to it because I love my hedgehog, and I'm not gonna, you know, deny her an important nutritional part of her diet just because I think it's gross. But I did have to get used to touching bugs. I had to get used to touching worms. Crickets aren't so bad. I don't know why. I don't think of them as so bad, but I had to get used to touching worms and even raising worms and farming or growing them. So I wish I had been a little bit more mentally prepared for that because it's definitely gross. I also wish I had known the resources that are out there more. That's something that I still feel like the hedgehog community is really missing. And what I mean is I feel like, you know, we don't have as many resources as cat and dog owners do, just because hedgehogs have only been quote unquote domesticated. And there's a discussion to be had about like what is domesticated and are hedgehogs domesticated, but that's a whole other video. For now, you know, hedgehogs have really only been quote unquote popular for about 40 years. So there are lots of exotic vets that may see other exotic breeds, but don't see hedgehogs. And so there's still a lot of conflicting information and a lack of information, I think, about hedgehogs. But in general, there are lots of great resources. I just wish I had known about all of them. When I started out with Noodle, the only thing I knew about, ooh, I kicked the tripod. When I started out with Noodle, the only thing I knew about was the hedgehog subreddit, which was super helpful. Someone gave me a tip in that hedgehog subreddit that literally saved Noodle's life. They told me to use Pedialyte because she was wobbly and dehydrated, and I didn't know that you could use Pedialyte in hedgehogs, but you can. So, you know, I'm forever grateful to that subreddit. But then I sort of branched out into Facebook and realized that there are Facebook groups, there's Instagram communities, there are, you know, websites and organizations like Hedgehog Welfare Society. So there are tons of resources. I just didn't know where they all were at first. So I think that's something as a community that we can work on is, you know, learning more about our resources, providing more resources to other people. Something else that I wish I had known about was health insurance for hedgehogs. So I think we're on number 5 now. I'm trying to remember. We've done like resilience, teeth prevention. We've done their personalities, bugs. Yeah, number 5. I'm trying to count for the title. So the 5th thing I wish that I had known, why are you biting the blanket? You little monster. You're such a tiny monster. Yeah, look. Tiny monster. So the other thing I wish that I had known about is health insurance. So Nationwide has a pretty great exotic and aviary plan. It's like $9 a month. Obviously Nationwide does not sponsor me, but this is the pet insurance that I have for Noodle. So it's $9 a month. I think there's a $7,000 annual limit. And a $2,500, something like that, per visit limit. There's also a $50 deductible. So let's say I go to the vet and I spend $700. That's a lot. I don't know what would be getting done for that, but let's say we spend $700 on medicine, x-rays, etc. I would get $650 of that back because they cover everything but the $50 deductible. And they cover up to that. I think, like I said, I think it's $2,500. You can find the information on their website, but anyway, every time I've ever taken her to the vet, it's been over the deductible limit. So I've always gotten my money back, and it's $9 a month. You know, what's more important than money is peace of mind, and knowing that if your hedgehog ever gets sick or needs help, you are more likely to be able to afford it. Of course, there is the upfront cost, you know, so whether or not you have that money in your savings account, you know, I do think it's important for pet owners to plan ahead of time for that, but at least you know that you will be getting, she's in my armpit, Noodle. At least you do know that you'll be getting that money back. So while I do, you know, advise trying to save for emergencies when you can, particularly right now, I know that's difficult. I know that I have been cash strapped. So it's just really nice to have that peace of mind for $9 a month. I think it's definitely worth it. What are some other things? This isn't really scripted. I just kind of wanted to sit down and chat about some things that I wish I had known. I just made a new guide, a Hedgehogs 101, a beginner's guide. And I'll link that in the description box. So if you want that, it's just a free PDF guide. All you have to do is put your email address in the form. And so that puts you on the SPLOOT News mailing list. So other things I'm working on are like hedgehog longevity research, gut loading guides, buyer's guides, updated vet directories. So you will be hearing from me again, but it's going to be good stuff because I'm trying to lean more heavily into research that I feel has not been looked into enough. So I'm kind of reflecting on some things in that guide. But this video kind of happened because I made that guide, because we talk about like basic supply list, feeding, nail trimming and bathing. And so it just kind of made me want to sit down and have sort of like a casual chat about things I wish I'd known. Other things I wish I'd known. I wish I'd known more about bathing. I think at first I thought I had to give Noodle a bath like every 2 weeks. And that's not true. You can bathe your hedgehog as infrequently as, you know, once a month, every other month, if they're not dirty. Noodle earlier tonight was running on her wheel and got poop in her spike, so she will probably be getting bathed pretty soon. So when your hedgehog gets dirty, you bathe them, but if they're not dirty and they're not suffering from dry skin problems, they may not need a bath. And in fact, you know, overbathing can harm them, can cause infection, it can worsen their dry skin. So that's something I wish I'd known a little bit more about, because I was sort of under the impression that, like, you know, more so like a dog, you know, like a lot of dog owners just give their dogs baths every couple weeks. And so I thought it was kind of similar to that. The other thing I wish I'd known about hedgehogs, let's see, I'm trying to get to 7, or at least, cause we've done 6 and I feel like 7 is a good number. So some other things I wish I'd known about hedgehogs, vet care. Yeah, 100%. So again, when I got Noodle, she got very ill and I didn't have a proper vet care system in place. Like, I didn't know who to call for help. And Noodle has a great, now anyway, she has a great, what's the general practitioner? She has a general practitioner, if you will. But even if you have a regular vet that you go to, that vet may not have emergency hours. They may not have ER hours. And if they do, there's going to be an ER fee, and it's usually a couple $100. So even if you have a normal everyday vet, it's really important that you know what their emergency hours are and what that phone number is and how to get in touch with them. Because emergencies, guys, they don't always happen during business hours. You know, and if something happens with your hedgehog, particularly, you know, an injury, they're small little dudes, you know, and if unfortunately, if there were to be an injury, it can be really hard to take care of those things on your own until the next day when you can get them to the vet if they have an opening. So I wish I had known more about how to find a vet, how to, you know, establish protocol, if you will, for emergencies. That's something I was really unprepared for with her, and you know, had to face again in March when there was a tornado and we were out of power here for a week, and Noodle did not have a heat lamp. So I had to rush her 2 hours home to my mother's house where there was electricity. And then I rushed her back to a place called Grey Haven Exotics, which boarded her for free for a week, so that I could go home and be in my home even if there wasn't power, and so that she could be, you know, in a safe location nearby. So yeah, I definitely wish I had planned more for, or known about planning for vet care and emergencies more. That's something that I feel like is really important. It's one of those things that, like, it's upsetting to think about. It's hard to think about. you know, what might happen if your hedgehog falls and breaks a limb. That's really graphic, and for some people it can be triggering. I get that. But we need to think about these because we're parents, we're pet parents, and it's our job to make sure that our babies are safe, even when things are difficult and even when, you know, things are out of control. Of course, you can't control every situation. Now she's behind me and her spikes are getting in my butt. Come here. Hey, come here. I'm gonna put you back in your playpen. Here. No, I'm gonna wait because playpen I thought I could reach, but I can't. So, yeah, you know, those are some things that I wish I had known more about. Not necessarily, I don't have any regrets with Noodle. Like, look at her. She's adorable. How can I regret anything about her? She's beautiful. Look at that. You a cutie? You sweetie? There are definitely no regrets, but just things that, like, if I could be a new hedgehog parent all over again, I might do things a little bit differently. You know, so I hope that, you know, if you're out there and you're thinking about getting a hedgehog or you're just got one, you'll kind of take me up on some of that advice and think through some of those situations and look for resources, because the more you know, the better off you are. That's like the bottom line. You know, the common denominator between all these 7 things is like, the more you know, the better off you are. So the more you can educate yourself, the better off you and your hedgehog. Well, where are you going? Here, okay, you can go down. I'll put you on the blanket again so you can bite it. I'm gonna bite your brother who's sitting right there. Please don't bite your brother. Okay, he's old. He doesn't deserve that. Her brother being the cat. I don't think they know they're siblings. That's okay. Anyways, I hope you guys have a really wonderful week. I hope you're all taking care of yourself in the, you know, timeline that is 2020. I hope your hedgehogs are doing okay. For some of us in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, we're moving into summer, and that's really exciting because Noodle got to go to the park for the first time. I posted pictures of that on Instagram for the first time this year. I mean, not for the first time ever. She has gone to the park several times in the past. So anyway, that's the end of this video. If you have any questions at any time, you're always welcome to let me know. As always, SPLOOT News is a monthly newsletter. It's $1 a month. You know, in this month's edition, we announced a giveaway. We talked about how to keep your hedgehog cool in the summer. That's a post courtesy of one of the Hedgehog Snoots admins. We talked about the new hedgehog guide, and they're also seeing this video. So she's biting the blanket next to my thigh, and I'm afraid she's gonna bite my thigh. That seems like a very Noodle thing to do. So I'm gonna go. But if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, I'll drop the link in the description box below. There's always really good information, and I am working on new research. So I hope that you will stay safe, keep your hedgehog safe, and I am sure that I will talk to you again very soon. Thanks for being part of the SPLOOT family.